Hello. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yes, sir, we can hear you, sir.
Afolabi. Afolabi, my brother.
My dear brother.
How now?
They're good. They're good.
Also, Meta. It's good to see you.
Likewise. Well done. Well done. Well done. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
I'm just going to start the program. I'll be with you for a few minutes and then I need to jump off a little because I'm actually in Egypt and I have a service that I'm conducting in another few minutes. But I just wanted to be here to receive you and to thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
You know, I'm sure you can see from the conversation that this is an unusual start to this discussion. The reason is that I've known this man called Afolabi Andu since he was like 4 or 5 years old. We grew up together in Ibadan. We went to the same primary school. His mother was one of my teachers. His older sister was my classmate. His older sister, about that, was either my brother's senior or his classmate. And his younger sister, we all grew up together like one family. And when we were in England, we hung out together for a season when we were both in university in England. And we've been in and out of each other's lives forever. He's an MBA graduate, and he's very, really, really passionate about Nigeria, development in Nigeria, building Nigeria, Nigeria in the diaspora, especially in the UK. He's had so much fora, bringing Nigerians to discuss, to invest in Nigeria, Best of Africa Expo, Nigerian Technology Ignited, First View TV, Nigerian Global Business Forum, and so on and so forth. He's also a very serious Christian, very, very active, very, very passionate, married a very lovely wife who's managed to cope with him all these years, and his passion and interest in Nigeria. And he's an amazing gentleman, always tries to put things together. He's a prolific author and publisher of sector-focused publications, and he serves on multiple corporate boards. He's currently the CEO of Global Africa Investments Limited. You can see that, Global Africa Investments Limited. And one of his biggest passions really is to drive investment into Nigeria and into Africa. Any Nigerian thing that is going on in the UK is usually one of the authors thereof. Very, very well connected with the Nigerian community out there, the Nigerian embassy, and so on and so forth. He's also a great prince of the Ijebu kingdom. I think his father was Oba in a very important sector in Ijebu. And he's just done quite some good business. Afolabi, my brother, I'm happy to welcome you to this program, and I'm glad that you could take time off to be with us at this time. And know I don't need to say how passionate you are about our motherland and all the energy you've put into trying to make things happen, not just for yourself, but for almost anybody in Africa. So I'd like you to, in Nigeria, I beg your pardon. So we are looking at working towards a veritable Nigeria. And I have a few questions for you very quickly. Number one, Nigeria. What exactly is Nigeria? Number two, is it possible to have a veritable Nigeria, a proper Nigeria, an authentic Nigeria? And then number three, um, um, what do we need to do if you believe in number one and two to get to walk towards a veritable Nigeria? But on the sideline of that, let me just ask a question that I've been inquisitive about. Why are you so passionate about Nigeria and Nigerians and things of Nigeria? Why have you put in so much energy trying to put Nigerians together with government, with Nigeria, with investing in Africa, and so on and so forth? So maybe that's where you want to start from. But then let me repeat again. What is this thing called Nigeria? Is there a thing like Nigeria? Number two, is there a veritable Nigeria, an authentic Nigeria, a good Nigeria? Is it possible to have a veritable Nigeria? And then number three, if you think it is possible, then let's cut the chase and tell me, in your own opinion, what we need to do to walk towards this veritable Nigeria. Thank you so much, my brother. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Pastor Idua.
No, first of all, now, how is Mama? I hope you are looking after her.
She's good. She's good. She's good.
And finally, you've stopped giving her trouble.
Oh, goodness. Good trouble. Good trouble.
Good trouble. Bless you, bro.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
And let me just use this opportunity once again to really appreciate you for the incredible sterling work that you've committed to over the years. There's no question about it. Lives are being impacted on the back of what you're doing. So my brother, please keep it going. It's profound. Right. So over the past 30 years plus, personally, I've committed to the belief that Nigeria, just your question, what is Nigeria? Nigeria represents a nation, in my view, of extraordinary potential. A country that is rich in resources, rich in talent, and rich in promise. But the challenge here is that the gap between where we are and where we ought to be remains significant. And the question, furthermore, is whether Nigeria can rise, or whether we are ready to make that decision required for that rise. Absolutely, we can achieve a veritable Nigeria. But let us first of all understand what we mean by a veritable Nigeria. And I would say that this really is effectively linked to our own vision. What do you see? What kind of Nigeria do you see? Your mind's eye. So people have different perceptions and views. The way they perceive Nigeria, the view they have on Nigeria. For as long as we continue to perceive Nigeria in a negative light, what you find is that we gravitate towards that kind of Nigeria. And of course, we understand the challenges, we understand those issues that has literally bedeviled the country over the past 60 plus years. But it is possible. And what really is a veritable Nigeria? Just like I said, in terms of how we perceive, what we see. For me, it is a country where governance works. Institutions are strong. The citizens trust the system. It is a nation where merit drives opportunity, where infrastructure supports productivity, and every Nigerian at home or abroad feels a sense of ownership and pride. That would be, in my view, description of a veritable Nigeria. So I'll hand over to you, Mr. Itua. I hope you're still there. I've just responded to your questions. I'm not sure whether you want me to carry on.
Myself. Okay. Sorry. Yeah. Yeah, I get it. You know, you say a system where everybody feels a part of this Nigeria, everybody feels a sense of belonging, this, that, and the other. You know, I had a description for Nigeria that I gave them on the pulpit, I think last Sunday. I said Nigeria is a place that is full of tribal businessmen and denominational leaders who are just doing business in an area called around the Niger. That Nigeria, for me, really does not exist. What we have are tribal businessmen who are doing business, and then denominational leaders because of churches that I belong to in an area called Nigeria. Many, many years ago, a friend of mine called Ama Iwagu, King's College boy, was my senior, and he and Aswe and Kole Aluko were flatmates. And Aswe was talking to him about building a great Nigeria, doing this, doing that. Ama said to Aswe, don't waste your time. He says, don't waste your time. He says, Nigeria is just a woman of endowment that men come and take advantage of. He says, look, Aswe, take advantage of Nigeria and go your way. That you are being idealistic. And the truth of the matter is that if you go back to our foundations as a country put together by British colonial masters, and by the way, I want you to give me your thoughts on President Tinubu's visits to Britain last week, or was it earlier on this week? I don't even remember. And what you think the gains and the benefits were last week, Wednesday, because you were part of that system. You understand the British very well and all that and all that. There was a lot of pomp and pageantry, no doubt, but really what were the benefits? And then I'll give you my own opinion, about that. So just put that in your right hand. So he said, look, listen, nobody thinks Nigeria. These British people came, knocked us together, and left. Therefore, that sense of nationalism, that sense of developing in Nigeria, that sense of putting Nigeria on the right place just doesn't exist. People just do business with the resources of Nigeria, take control of power. Tinubu himself says, grab it, run away with it, or whatever it was. Seize it, grab it, run away with it, and so on and so forth. So therefore, that thinking is not there. I don't know. What are your thoughts about that?
Okay, so just like I said earlier on, it's all about your own perspective. And I'm sure you have yours, personal view. And within the gathering this evening and some part morning, we'll all have our different views, how we perceive Nigeria. There really isn't any comprehensive view in that sense. I guess it is from an individual's own outlook. What Nigeria really means to you. The gentleman that spoke with Aswe He was sharing his own view. That was his own perspective. And as his view was different, and I think it all really boils down to aspects relating to helms of affair. Who is at the helms? Who is at the driving seat? And this again translates to corporate bodies, not just necessarily a country. It's about leadership. If you are the CEO of a corporation, and that corporation could have been in a real mess when you took that position, but because of your person, you can bring in the framework and the dynamism that will change the entire outlook of that organization. It's about your vision. It's about your vision. The United Kingdom that we know today, of course, you're all aware. So you have Ireland, you have Scotland, you have UK here, Great Britain. But they don't have similarities. A lot of things are not common in terms of their outlook, but they have a common denominator, an understanding that we have to firm together to build a country that itself is veritable, a country that is viable, a country that can achieve our goals for us. So it was a consensus, and it really is about a consensus. And may I also remind you, because I know that you belong to this particular community that I want to talk about. Prior to the federal structure in terms of governance in Nigeria, we had the regions. The Western region, of which your dear mom was very key in terms of leadership, they were people of great vision between 1954 and 1964 by virtue of vision. And remember, it was Western Nigeria. It was a feat, the level of achievement within 10 years. And the reason why that particular stance was taken by the sage Awolowo then was because he believed that what the British were doing, we could do better. It was just about vision. So it really comes down to how we see things and how and what it means to us, largely what it means to us. So it's a very personal thing, very, very personal. It's not a view that we can generalize. Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Okay, so how do we build a veritable Nigeria? What, in your opinion, do you think are the building blocks for this? Then secondly, I don't know if you were part of the visit of the president to UK. What do you think that visit achieved, and so on and so forth? Those are the two things I want to put before you right now.
Okay. Well, let me first of all, let me address building a veritable Nigeria. And again, it goes back to the benchmark, which in my view, really values. If the values are not there, you really don't have a country that will in turn emerge to be veritable. So every single Nigerian on the average, yes, we will point fingers at government, but when we look down at our own outlook, our own stance, we find that we also are short of some values. So we need to revisit aspects relating to our values. That's one aspect. Secondly, so ideology, ideals. If you don't have an ideological view on matters, you will be open to just about anything and everything. So we need to retrace our steps. And I gave you an example, with reference to a very, very good example with reference to the Western region. The Western region was built on values. It was built on ideology. So we need to revisit the primary basis, those foundations, and the blocks can now start to progressively be laid on those blocks. Values is absolutely key. It doesn't matter how much the country is generating, and we've seen it. I mean, it's evident, because what really is impacting the bottom line of Nigeria is corruption. It's corruption. It's not about tribalism, no. The bottom line is corruption. Once that can be addressed and we are able to build real institutions that operate way above the individual. So it really is more about your own status as an individual in the country. I mean, I hate to say this, but the reality is what we're seeing playing out even in the United Kingdom right now within the royal family. No one is above the law. Nobody. Nobody is above. And once we are able to address those fundamentals, then we can now start to see a progressive structure of a real country, a veritable country.
Okay, so
your second, let me follow up on your second question.
Yeah, go ahead.
About the president's visit.
Yeah.
It was a topic I wanted to avoid.
I won't let you avoid it. Because I know you must have an opinion.
Yes, well, so, okay. How does this normally happen? The visiting country, they are invited by their host. So in this particular instance, the United Kingdom invited Nigeria's president. So, well, we understand what's going on in terms of geopolitical and geoeconomics today. Obviously, when you start to look at areas where you can generate some gains, they become a priority. So as it is today, Nigeria is a priority in terms of the potential opportunities that it can present. What I'll say here is that we need to be a little bit more conscious in our leadership stance and understand that a whole lot more is still going to be coming our way as a country. And we mustn't be in the place or take the posture of the person who feels that he's the underdog. No. You have the bargaining chip, because if you don't have what they need, nobody's going to be inviting you for a state visit. A state visit is when the pomp and pageantry is alive. That's when the red carpet is rolled out. And the simple reason is that we want to do business with you. So in terms of the deals, not sure whether there was really any significant investment that was established in the favor of Nigeria. Yeah, there were opportunities to address a few significant aspects. That's on the part of Nigeria in terms of what the government believes that is a priority. But if you look at it holistically in terms of the gains, you'll find that, an example, British Steel. British Steel was already ailing. And what we've just done is that we've given British Steel a lifeline. We've given British Steel a lifeline. If you ask me, and that's the reason why I didn't really want to get into this, but my preference would have been for us to present a structure like Ajaokuta as an offering in terms of investable opportunity, rather than focusing on the refurbishment of our ports. Because really and truly, in terms of the yield, the returns on investment, of course, you know, an accountant for many years and also a financial analyst, there isn't much, because, you see, at this point in time, we are still dependent on products being imported. And that is what that particular, or those pots are designed to do. Between 2024, 2025, we expended $4.5 billion on processed food, imported food into Nigeria. Of course, the container loads coming in through the port. So I could go on in that process, but I guess the outcome is evident. So that's one aspect of the 746 or so million pounds. And it's a loan. It's a loan. It's not an investment. It's a loan. And who's going to pay it? The young ones. The children, our children, the children. We're still dealing with the Chinese loan. Nigeria is weighed with a lot of financial burden. And it's such that, obviously, in terms of transaction, global transaction, we need to be a little bit more conscious and careful how we tread on those pathways. We really need to. We're not even operating at amber, it's red. If you look at the dashboard in terms of investments and the risk profile of Nigeria, it's really a danger point. And these are real issues. So I wasn't particularly excited. I didn't attend any of the events because I could read through online that, this is not really beneficial to Nigeria in that sense. Let's flip it on the other side and look at possibly the slight gains. Opening up the access to the city for financial institutions. Yeah, so we clap for ourselves that we have made some waves through our fintech organizations, and we now can trade within the capital market in the United Kingdom, which is fine. But we need to drill a little bit more further and understand exactly the baseline there, the structure of these corporations in terms of the leaning of interest. That's a subject for another day.
Afolabi, thank you very much. You've spoken very well and very masterfully and very tactfully. And you've used a lot of nice diplomatic language, but I hear you very well. I hear you very well. That whole visit was not really to our advantage, and that when you roll the red carpet for somebody, it is because you want something from them, and we can see the outcomes, at least the ones we can see, and I'm sure there are many other invisible ones that we didn't see that we traded off. And then some people say now the British have a right to throw back our people without any recourse and so on and so forth. So I understand fully now exactly what that trip was about. And if we think that people are loving us by welcoming us, we should think again that there's something in there that they're looking for. I think it's very, very clear. All right, no problem at all. I'd like to ask you a question, and I'm going to hand over to Sonny and Jumoke Akin-Taylor to conduct the next round of questions and take the questions and answers. What are the specific things that you and I can do, and what we can do as individuals to help Nigeria become a veritable state or nation? One of the things we try to do on ALG here is to, a lot of the time people say we should do this, we should do this, we should do this, they should do this, they should do that. And nobody is ready to bail the cards. Who's going to bail the card? Who's going to make sure that we have an ideology? Who's going to make sure that we get rid of corruption? What can you do, Afolabi? What can I do, Itwa? What can the people, ordinary people sitting around this platform do to help to move Nigeria along and to transform Nigeria Do we join politics? Do we start a movement? Do we carry placards? Do we rise up and say enough is enough? Do we clean our own compounds? What do we do? How do we make sure that we do something to move Nigeria away from where it is to where it really should be? I'll ask you to please take that question, and then Sonia and Jumoke, I'll hand over to you. Thank you.
Thanks. Well, so in response to that, I think you're already doing a whole lot. You're already doing a whole lot. And the reason why we do have people seated listening to this conversation this afternoon is because they recognize your effort, they recognize your leadership, and they have literally bought into that vision. And what I can say is that you continue to progress on that pathway. And the truth really is that you cannot do it all. You can only do your bit. And that bit that you're doing, you don't know who will be impacted on that will then take it on to the next level. Possibly you might not be called into politics. We're not all called into politics. But the most important thing is that whatever and wherever you find yourself, whatever you find yourself with that gift to apply, then take advantage of it and apply it appropriately in the good of the country. Your civic duty is vital. That is not to be questioned. And every single Nigerian must participate one way or the other, whether it's in your place of work, whether you're a civil servant, whether you're in the private sector, you've got to do your bit. You've got to do your bit. Now, in terms of my own involvement and commitment, as I'm speaking with you right now, come the 24th of April, and this we do on an annual basis at the International Conference Center in Ibadan, we're hosting what's called the Next Gen Technology and Manufacturing Summit. And the focus, very simply, is to build capacity amongst young Nigerians under the age of 40. We've already gotten various agencies to partner with me: NAFDAC, Standard Organization of Nigeria, Bank of Industry, manufacturers. So they are partnering with us. And the idea, like I said, is to build capacity. We want to see how we can effectively start to develop industrial parks where these young ones can, from this moment, leapfrog into becoming industrialists in the next, say, 24 years. Bearing in mind that in 24 years from today, Nigeria will be the fourth largest country in the world with a population of 400 million people. And if we don't engage these young ones, and talking about in terms of even their population, because they've got to be the focus now. We represent about 20% in terms of population. They're about 80% under the age of 40. So we must focus on them. We must continue to build capacity in those lives. Yourself and myself, we're in our mid-60s. And the truth really is that we've, to a very large extent, done our bit. And all we can continue to do is to encourage others and focus more on the younger generation.
Thank you, sir. Pastor Sonny, do you have any questions? Okay, here he is.
Yeah, thank you very much, Prince Afolabi. My name is Pastor Sonny Nevi. I don't know, maybe Pastor Ito has gone in for his program, and I'm sure if he finishes on time, he'll be able to join us before we leave. So just a few questions. When we talk about veritable Nigeria, I want to believe, because I checked up the word, speaking to authenticity, trustworthy, dependable, a truly functional Nigeria, and that has been what we have been striving for since we got independence. So my question to you is, number one, what do you think are the characteristics of a nation that is truly credible, dependable, trustworthy, people serving, Is Nigeria there? Are we 20% there, 80% there? If not, are we on the road at all? Because all these things you are saying, and I hear you when you say you are coming to Ibadan, Elumelu is doing a lot. A lot of individuals are doing bits and pieces. So what is the missing link, that we cannot never really get to where we are going if you say we are not there? I hope I have not packed too many things in one question.
No, sir. If you want me to respond, I can take it up from there. Yeah.
Is it?
You want me to respond to it?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Okay. There is a limit to how much the average individual can do. The average individual does not drive policies. So we can, in as much as we so desire in terms of passion, in terms of our vision, in terms of ideals and even ideology, go to an extent. But it is only when policy aligns with the vision of the country has got to have a vision. And that vision emanates from leadership. So just as I did cite an example earlier on, when the perception was that Nigeria is a transactional country. And I responded that I differ from that. It's all about the individual's own outlook. So it really would be based on the vision of the brand, as I would call, because if we call it the brand Nigeria, the brand champion of Nigeria, the person who sits at the elms in the country.
So do you think Nigeria has a vision and do we have a brand?
But this is the point that I'm stressing on, really. The vision for Nigeria is a vision that will emanate primarily from possibly an individual. And the individual would be that person who is sitting at the highest point of governance. And that vision must effectively be communicated in a seamless manner, in an inspiring way, in an impactful manner. And every single block, every pillar within the governance structure would be expected to align with the vision. So it's just like a corporation. The visionary within that corporation is possibly the chief executive officer or the executive chairman of the company. He shares his vision with his team. And that is the reason why you would find that some companies, some organizations are more successful than others. But an organization whose leadership are not so clear in terms of how to effectively communicate that vision, what you'll find is that to a very large extent, it could be a ship that is just swerving all over the place without any kind of navigational focus. Nigeria is not a problem. Absolutely not. Nigeria is a great country. And I say this based on the fact that wherever you go globally, Nigerians are operating at the highest level. Nigerians are achievers. Nigerians are achievers. That I know, that I've seen, and that I believe. But what is missing is that visionary leadership. You could have a leader, to all intent and purpose, means well for the country, means well, who desires to do great things, could be a technocrat, a brilliant mind. But he is not able to articulate his vision in a way and manner that will get the people to gravitate towards it. What you'll find is that he will go to bed every night with a lot of aches and weight on his shoulder because he will feel that he's not being supported, or she might feel that she's not being supported. But that's not really the fact. Nigerians are, they're very easy to please. All you need to do is just to let them understand the pathway. Which direction are we going? That's all Nigerians want from you. If you can make clear whether they're from the north, the east, it doesn't matter. Just create the right pathway and come and watch how Nigerians will excel across the board. I mean, see what's going on within our creative sector, our technological sector, and the list goes on. And these are people who are operating away from the confines of overall governance. They're just doing their stuff. Why? Because they are extraordinary people. They're Nigerians. So in Nigerians, you have the potential of a veritable country. It's a component that Nigerians do carry. I can tell you everyone seated in the gathering today, they're all great Nigerians. They're achievers. But what we are all hungry for is someone who will be able to drive us in the pathway that will enable us to excel to a level where we become the envy of the entire global community. Pastor Sonny.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. So I pick up from your last statement that Nigeria is a great place. However, what we really need is a good driver. So we have not had somebody that can drive the vision, drive Nigeria to where we need to be. Because you said Nigeria is a great country. I don't know whether we are great or it is the people that are great people. Because there's a difference between Nigerians and Nigeria. Okay, it's total. This is very true. The big difference. So, like you said, everywhere we go in the world, you see Nigerians excelling. But come back to Nigeria. So when you say Nigeria, talking about the country, okay, is Nigeria a great place? What makes it great? Just the people. So what other things make it great? So, these are contextual issues that we can have conversations around.
Let me, if I can interject there very quickly. So what makes a country?
Yes, what makes a country great?
The people.
Yeah. So people are good people, but they kill themselves. Okay, they can't feed themselves, they can't clean after themselves, they can't produce their light, they can't give themselves water. So what makes it great?
So let's put it into perspective and context as well.
Yes.
And I will restate, Nigeria is a great country. Nigerians are great people. What is missing is visionary leadership. Simple. Okay. So let me share some sites for you to see. Okay.
Okay.
The United Kingdom that you know of today.
Yeah.
Centuries ago, they were called the barbarians. Barbarians. If you want to know the way, I'm sure you've all heard that word. That's where it all emerged from. They were people who were completely corrupt, people who outlook to life was just miserable. But at the point, as events would unfold, leadership changed the dynamics. You might want to read about Oliver Cromwell. That is ahead of the time, who was very significant in terms of addressing the issue of the rural England to bring them into the place of formation. That's why you have the House of Commons and you have the House of Lords. It used to be the House of Lords. So the Commons had a view there. And progressively, they started to shape up. And the very best in them started to emerge. And we could go on and on and on in terms of different scenarios of countries. Most even closer to us, Rwanda. We know the genocide experience in Rwanda. It could have progressed on. It took a man. It took a man. It doesn't matter the view that is taken, whether he's been there for so long, but this particular man had a vision. He had a vision for Rwanda. Angola, the same thing. I can go on and countless. So it is about leadership.
Yeah, so
it's about leadership.
And I agree with you, Afolabi. It's about leadership, and that's why we are here today. So the corner, how and Pastor Eto asked you this earlier on, is we are all concerned Nigerians because we see the potential. As far as I'm concerned, right from when we were in primary school in the 70s, and those of you that were a bit earlier or in the 80s, always said Nigeria has great potential. Nigeria is the giant of Africa based on all the potentials. And indeed, we have potentials sitting in our soil. That's what people look at and say we are great. But we don't have systems, we don't have leaders who are responsible, we don't have the ability to rule or manage ourselves constructively. So we have not been able to galvanize ourselves to achieve that potential. What can we do? Are we on the right path now with this current trajectory we are going democratically? If we are, how long do you think it will even take us to get to 10% of the greatness that we have, or that we are capable of doing? Where are we now with the leadership in the country? Do we need to course correct? What should we be telling our politicians? How should we make them accountable? Because today they are not accountable to anybody. In Great Britain, what's his name? Mountbatten, not Mountbatten, the other one, Medicine. Just because his name appeared. In Nigeria, you can literally catch a man in bed with a woman. Nothing will happen to him. His name appeared in the Epstein file, and he had to resign from being ambassador. And in fact, some people are pushing for the prime minister to resign because he appointed the man. And he's not off the hook yet. Okay? That's what you call a great country, where there's accountability and people take responsibility. But for us, how can we, as a people, and we've been having conversations around this, what can we do to make sure that we are great as we are supposed to be?
Again, I think primarily, obviously, with reference to the United Kingdom, what you're talking about there, you're talking about institutions, you're talking about strong institutions, and those institutions have been built over the years. Yes, I do agree with you. We do lack strong institutions in Nigeria. The rule of law is not such that operates the way it ought to in terms of global standards. So that's pretty clear. No, there are different pathways that can be approached. This is a pathway. It might be a pathway that is progressing on in terms of slow pace, but it's still impacting. For as long as we continue to have conversations, we continue to advocate on the need for specific changes within the framework of our system, we mustn't relent. It's not going to be given on a platter of gold. We have to be resilient and we have to be resolute. Possibly another group within the ranks here could now see that the pathway would be to go into politics. But this is another very interesting aspect. What you'll find is that when we talk about politics in Nigeria, those who are comfortable and just getting on with life, an easy process, they don't want to get involved. But the reality is that if you don't get involved, others would get involved. And those that would get involved, they might not be within your own mindset ranking. So whether we like it or not, we've got to engage. So and this is what it is again. Many a times, really, you cannot give more than you have. So it's what you have that you can give. So when you look at your local government and you wonder why things are happening the way they are, because possibly the guys there are giving their very best, but their very best to you is a non-starter. But what then happens is that we start to complain. We start to get pretty upset, get angry. But that guy cannot give you more than he has. But you are the one who has the right outlook, the ideals there. You've got a strong ideological view on matters to do with values and integrity and stuff like that, but you're holding back. You're holding back. So possibly a significant number might be contributing towards the deficiency of governance in Nigeria. Those who are supposed to be seated in the place of governance, but are just not interested. For as long as we take a position of not interested, you better believe it. Those who are ready to jump on that bandwagon, because for them, no ethics, value for what? They just want to be successful. Possibly they'll struggle all their lives, and this is an opportunity, their own commonwealth, to share out of it. But that your values might be different. So to a very large extent, the onus really is on those who really desire to see change. Those who desire to see change. People like yourself, like myself. The onus is on us. We mustn't stop constantly doing those things that we believe can bring about the change.
All right, great, thanks. So before I open it up for question or get Jumoke to ask, the onus is on us. So how do we transit from advocating like we're doing on this platform to actually becoming participants, and wanting to take the realm of power to implement the policies that we so passionately advocate?
But I did say that earlier on. It's about governance. Policy is in the care of those who are the helms of affair.
Yeah, that's what I'm asking. I say, how do we now get into the helms of affairs?
You've got to engage. You got to engage. You got to be in politics. You really have to be in politics.
It's expensive. I don't have the money to get in there.
So, and that is an excuse that a whole lot will really present. But yes, I understand it's very expensive to be involved in Nigerian politics. But whatever the case might be, politics does not have to be at that very high level. Because what yourself and myself are talking about right now is about change. Politics, it could be within even your estate where you live. Get involved. So let's assume
we have transformed. If you come to my estate, it looks like a mini London.
Fantastic.
But the moment I step out of the estate, I enter the ghettos. So I have moved away from my estate.
Sorry, let me show you this. So you've already won. You've won there.
Yes, we've conquered the estate.
Absolutely. So what you've achieved, it's your understanding. What you've achieved is a mindset.
Yes.
It's a mindset. And it's a principle. It's just like any form of science. It's an equation. You would always get the same result if you apply that particular principle. So that principle is what you will now take to the next step. It doesn't have to be in the ambit of government politics, get involved with another initiative. Just continue to mark your presence. Continue to build a track record. Let your footprint be more and more evident. You could also, if you are someone who's passionate about writing, and if you really, really are committed to want to see change, there's no reason why you cannot even start to write articles. And today, the beauty of it is that we have the social media. You can take a position as a thought leader, sharing your thoughts, sharing your views. Let me assure you of this. At a point in time, what you believe in so strongly and so passionately will be presented at the place of authority. You just have to be resilient. You've got to continue to see the outcomes. You've got to see the result, that the result is one that will bring about your heart desire.
Thank you. We'll keep up. Jumoke will engage if she has a few one or two questions, and then we have the participants also. They may want to make their contributions or ask you some questions. Thank you very much. I'm still here.
Thank you.
Jumoke, over to you.
Thank you, sir. Good evening. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. And I just want to acknowledge our youths. We have quite a lot of them on the platform, and that is why we do what we are doing. That is why we are fighting for this Nigeria, a Nigeria that works for them. There were a couple of things you said that kind of troubles me a little bit, but I know that I want us to give them hope, that we are not living in Nigeria that they have to continue to struggle for. They are struggling right now because I always say Nigeria hasn't been fair to them. And the onus is on us to support them to get that Nigeria that's going to work for them. So I have a few questions that I think would really help stir them and give them the passion to continue to work towards this veritable Nigeria. So my first question is this. I wrote it down, so 1 second. Let me just open it up. What gives you hope? I think Pastor Itwa asked that question in one way, but I want you to please speak to the youths about what gives you hope for Nigeria in spite of everything that is going on now. And you see a Nigeria that is going to work for them. So what gives you that hope?
So there are two things here. And I smile because one is very, very personal to me, very personal. And the second is based on experience and observation. Well, let me share the observation first. The average Nigerian is resilient against all odds. Against all odds. The emergence, and I want to touch on this, the creative industry. The emergence of that industry had nothing whatsoever to do with government policy. If you carry out a research, you'll find that a significant number of those young ones did not emerge from middle-class families. Young men and women who were tired of the same old. They realized that there was nothing they could really do. Crime itself, they found at a point, was not paying off. And they felt that if they sat down where they were, it was a slippery pathway into total destruction. So they took their own destiny, hold on to the horns of their destiny. And their posture was, whatever is going to take, whatever is going to take, I will give it. And that is where, from those areas, you started to hear about those minds that today have become global phenomena. Global phenomena. So what is my point here? Yes, for a lot of you young ones, your position might be, yeah, for some it might be okay. But I've been out of university for about 6-7 years with no job. I studied engineering, I studied law. And my parents spent all their resources, the little resource that they had, to take me through the tertiary institution. And what have I got to show for it? So let me break it down so we understand. You represent 80% of Nigeria's population today. You are significant in the call order. In terms of industry, the potential is phenomenal. And that is why platforms like this are such a blessing. But you in turn must be very clear in your mind in terms of what you really want to achieve, what you want to get out of life. If you want to become an entrepreneur, you have the opportunity here. I can assure you, because I know Pastor Itua very well. He's got a heart, gold, a heart for the people. Whatever he can do to ensure that you experience that, or you leapfrog and experience that scalable stance, you would get it. So you're in the right place. It's just for you to take advantage. Don't let the pressure, don't let the circumstance be a bane. Let it be a platform for you to leap from. If I say to you guys that I do not empathize, I lie. And that is the reason why I do what I do on an annual basis. The event that we're hosting at the International Conference Center in Ibadan, it's costing us a lot of money. But we've opened it up to the young ones to attend for free. And that's why we've brought in all the key organizations that can help those who want to get involved in industry, manufacturing. And it doesn't end there. Our intention is to continue to hold them by the hands till they become effectively viable. And that is exactly what this platform offers as well. And you now become an agent as you benefit from such an initiative. You don't keep it to yourself. You become that voice that you let others know that what Pastor Itua is doing, it's been a blessing to us. Why don't you become a part of this as well? Before you know, you will effectively have potential economic revival. So that's my view, and I know that a few of you might want to ask questions as well, and I'm happy to engage. But the starting point is not to see the pressure point as the end of the journey or the end of the road. You really have to change the orientation and see it as a launching pad into potential greatness. There's a market there. I mean, the Nigerian market, that's the reason why they all come into Nigeria. The Nigerian market is huge. It's huge. We can't even satisfy it. Whatever service, whatever products you're producing, you cannot satisfy. You're talking about 400 million in about 20 odd years from now, 200 million today. Where do you start from? Just get involved in something.
Thank you very much. I think I'll follow up with you as well on how our youths can also can participate in the program that you have coming up in Ibadan. So I'll get more information about that. And I'm not going to hog the microphone too much because I see some hands up. So I'm going to combine these two questions together. If you had the opportunity to implement 3 immediate changes in Nigeria today, what would they be? And then what message would you like to leave Nigerians, both Nigerians home and abroad, with about their role in building the nation we all deserve, this veritable nation? What is the Nigerians' role, both home and abroad? So those are my 2 questions combined in one.
Okay. So immediate changes that I will like to implement or see put into place. First would be to enforce policy consistency. To enforce policy consistency. That's so vital. We cannot continue to have our policies keep on somersaulting. We've got to be consistent. We've got to prioritize infrastructure development. And in that aspect of prioritizing infrastructure, priority has got to be given to local content. Just yesterday, yourself and myself were having a chat in terms of indigenous contractors, of which your great dad was one of the leading contractors in their time. Today, we don't have a community of indigenous contractors. Our engineers are not even given that opportunity to participate at the highest level when it comes to infrastructural development in Nigeria. That has to change. It's got to be Nigerian first. We've got to take care of ourselves because that's the only way we're going to build wealth within our ranks. Absolutely vital. Education, you cannot play with education. The UNESCO benchmark is between 15 to 20%. As we speak today, we are operating just over in between 7 and 10%. Therein, the outcome of what we continue to witness literally on a daily basis across the country. A lot of the public schools are in a mess, total mess. The universities don't have research facilities. Equipments are effectively non-existent. And a country that does not invest in education is a country that is effectively vying for failure. Because how are you going to be competitive? So if you do a projection, like in the next, say, 20 years that we are looking at, which is effectively 2050, when Nigeria becomes the 4th largest country in the world, what will be the state of your medical practitioners? What would be the state of your engineers? What would be the state of your legal practitioners? Those are thoughts that we must constantly consider. We must have a foresight. We've got to look at things, we've got to project into the future, not just narrow down to the immediate. We've got to look beyond now because we are responsible for these young ones. They are the future. They are the future. We cannot continue to look to the West that we continue to look up to. The West is in trouble. That's the reality. No country in Europe can say that they are breathing free. We've seen what's happened in Ukraine. We see what's going on in Iran right now. Do you know that overnight, UAE, United Arab Emirates, on a daily basis, been losing about $600 million every day. And we are not looking inwards to start to build capacity, to start to ensure that our infrastructure is at the highest level, to start to invest massively in education, to scale up our young ones, that they will be effectively competitive, whether it's with China. The good news is that our own population is not ailing. It's actually increasing whilst the West is reducing at a significant pace. These are things that we need to take cognizance of and really, really address robustly. So to respond to the other question, my final message to Nigeria. So Nigeria's future is not in the hands of a few. It's in the hands of us, every one of us. The future of Nigeria is in our care. Being a Nigerian, you have a role to play one way or the other. But if we align our values and hold our leaders accountable, and each of us play our own role, that Nigeria that you're dreaming for will become a reality. Lady Jumoke, thank you.
Thank you very much. And before I open it up for questions, and maybe not a direct answer at this time, there's this Japa syndrome, and it's very concerning because it's like there's a mass exodus out of Africa, and it's usually the best, or even labor, even if it's not the most talented, but the manpower is shifting to the West. And then the West is coming in to take our resources. And I don't think we're thinking about that. We're not thinking about that. I was talking to a gentleman yesterday who wants to move to America. And I said, well, I'm ready to move back home. And we find that a lot of us are trying to move back home because we understand the implication of what's going on right now. And I don't think our people really do understand that we are going to, if we continue live in Africa, we are going to become enslaved even in Africa. So I wanted to just put that was something in my thought, and opened up for questions, and maybe you can address that as we go along. So I have a few hands up, and the way we usually do this is we'll take 2 or 3 questions at a time, and you respond to them, and then we'll take the next group of questions. Usually we try to give people 1.5 minutes. 1.5 minutes, please, because we are up on time, and then we'll take it from there. So Auntie Yemisi, please go ahead. I've asked you to unmute.
Thank you, Jumoke, and it's good to see Prince Andu. I have a feeling we've met before. This is Miss Yemisi Ransom Kuti, but I'll leave that so I don't spend too much of my time saying hello to you and Jumoke, looking wonderful as usual. I truly align with your visions and mindset. The men who made America, the Fords, Rockefellers, JP Morgans, did it when America was about the same or even worse state of affairs than Nigeria is now. I'm also working with young folks to unlock opportunities for their economic and social development. And my organization would like to involve the young people we work with to participate in the manufacturing summit you mentioned. I hope I'll be able to get your contact details. I really want to focus on the practical and how we can forge ahead and make those changes we need to make and spend less time on lamenting on the negative things that are happening around us. Now, you mentioned the hand-holding that you're going to do for the participants from concept to actualization in that summit. So my question is, we all know about the challenges of doing business in Nigeria, power infrastructure, etc. What are those steps that you have designed for making this a reality during this summit? So that paint a picture for people like me, so that when I'm talking to young people to involve them, I also have the feeling that, you know, the end product is going to be very beneficial to them and to their country, but etc. Thank you once again for all the great stuff you said. I really, you know, I really appreciate people who are able to give a balanced view of how we must all engage in making Nigeria great again. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Auntie, for keeping to time. I appreciate that. We're going to take the next hand, which is one of our youth leaders, Abubakar. Go ahead, Abubakar. We've asked you to unmute.
Right. Thank you for having me.
Speak up. Please speak up.
Thank you for having me. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Thank you for having me. This is okay, and thank you, Prince. We really commend your effort. You know, we really respect how you make analysis of the issues facing Nigeria. My own contribution here, you know, during the premiere of the North, we made emphasis on the agriculture, you know, as a sustainable tool for development. You know, in Kano, we had the pyramids, which are not pyramids. And when you talk of the southwest, we have the growth and what's happening. So I don't know what is happening with how can the leaders of our time now, you know, deviate from the oil, you know, crude oil program? You know, how can they diversify to the saving, you know, back to the olden, you know, potential we have, and we still have it up to date. If we go the north, for example, now, if we unlock farming hubs in the north, we can, you know,
Can you hear him or is it me?
I can't.
Okay, Abubakar, we can't hear you. So maybe type it. Send it to me and I can ask the question.
I'm talking about farming.
Okay, this is better.
I said back in the 60s, you know, during the premiere of the North, the farming was very of high priority in the north. You know, in Kano, you have the pyramids, groundnut pyramids in the north. In the southwest, you have the cocoa farming and what have you. So I don't know, how can you engage our government, you know, mostly in the north, you know, help them, you know, let them focus their attention on building the youth on the side of, you know, the agricultural sector, because we have so much potential in the agricultural sector. A ginger, for example, is very expensive now, you know, cowpeas and what have you. There are so many things in that, but they are not facing, their mind is being blindfolded towards the side. So how can you help us, the youths of the north, you know, talk to our leaders? I know you guys must have your ways. Maybe you guys are friends, you are colleagues in school, or what have you. How can you talk to them? Let us go back to the field. You know, we can have a lot of economic prosperity. We have it. We have arable land. We have arable land to farm, but, you know, insecurity and what have you. So please, I want you to digress on this. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Abubakar. So we'll take one more hand, sir, and then you can take those three, and we have more hands coming up. Auntie Bola, please go ahead, ma. Ms. Adetula.
Yes, thank you very much. I enjoyed everything. Now, I have two, very quick. Number one, while Pastor Itua was here, you gave example of Rwanda. Very good. But I hope you guys know what that guy is doing underneath to achieve all those things. If any Nigerian leader tries 1/10 of what that man is doing, there'll be uproar in Nigeria. People will begin to scream. I don't want to talk because I know a lot about the place. I used to be in the AU, but the international community decided to close their eyes and ears. All they are interested in is that he's achieving. But Nigeria cannot go that way. That is the end of that. The second one, how can we make our governors to work, to spend the money and allow local government. President Tinubu has been saying it that he has given them a lot of money. In my own state, my local government, I will keep quiet. People who know me know what I'm talking about. Nothing. Thank you very much.
Auntie, can you summarize your question? How can we make local governments more effective? Is that the question? Okay.
I think I understand what you're saying.
All right. Please go ahead, sir.
Right. Thank you very much for all those who have asked questions. I believe our first delegate there was Mrs. Tomilayo, I believe Ransom Kuti. Name
Miss,
of...
Miss Ransom Kuti. Tomilayo is there.
I was thinking to myself that that's a name of a great woman.
Okay. Yeah, it's Miss Yemisi.
It's Yemisi. Right. So the event is on the 24th of April. All they need to do is to register. We do have limited space, as you can imagine. My details can be shared by the organizers of the program, and we'll be more than happy to, receive you. You then further asked in terms of the presentation itself and how we would be able to support the young ones moving forward. Now, I did point in the course of my presentation or discussion earlier on, vis-a-vis this particular event. We already have brand partners who would be resource people on the day. These are the key agencies that are responsible for aspects relating to standards and quality assurance for products in Nigeria. So you have the NAFDAC, you have the Standard Organization of Nigeria, Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, Nigerian Export Promotion Council, Bank of Industry. They're all going to be there. And alongside that, we also have a company based in Austin, Texas. They are a power-based company. They're actually partnering with us. The ultimate vision that we have is to see how we're able to secure land allocation from government, talking about possible batches of about, give or take, 30 acres, where we can now start to build industrial parks. So in terms of the deployment of infrastructure, that is already integrated into the whole sequence. So that all that will be addressed and discussed during the conference. And the reason is very clear. We are effectively operating at a very, very, nerving position in terms of the country. We cannot continue to depend on imports, things that we can produce locally. Why do we want to continue to spend, the scarce foreign reserves that we have bidding for, whether it's dollars or euros to buy stuff from out there? No, we can produce all these things locally. We've got the market. And that is why we must build in these young ones capacity that will in turn bring them into becoming industrialists within the next 20 years. That's the vision. The second question, I believe that's Abubakar, in terms of the arable land. And of course, clearly, the North is very, very key when it comes to the food basket of Nigeria. That is where it really does exist. And we need the North to continue to increase in terms of capacity in that respect. It's an issue that must be addressed. And my view is that, Abubakar, the very fact that you raised this issue, don't be a bystander. If you're part of the group, the NLS group, what I believe very strongly is that you should even take a position to now start being an advocate. What the organization will do would be to give you the support that you need. Once you have that passion and that interest, that could be a niche for you to carve. So you can start to advocate for the next generation of, farmers and industrialists in the North. They represent your generation. So you really have to take it on and run with that. And I'm sure that ultimately the results will be beneficial. And the third question, I believe that's to do with Rwanda. Now, there was no inference on us applying the ideology of the current the president. Well, what I was saying very simply is that in the really, really dire situation, we can still make good of it. It's about the vision. Now, things do happen beyond when you've brought that vision into reality. People change, attitudes, a lot of things could happen. But most importantly, where we are at now, we need a vision that will give us the path, to give us the navigation pathway to move from just oscillating into becoming a productive and a viable people.
Thank you. So we're going to take the last set of questions because we are up on time, and I'm going to call the names of the questions. And I just want to apologize. We're not going to be able to take any more hands. I have Iso Basi, Abraham, and Professor Grange. I have Wasiu Olatunde. I have, I believe this is Antibola, and then I have Arinze Onyeka. So I'm going to take the first three. Iso Basi, please go ahead with your question. We've asked you to unmute. Again, we'll keep it to time, please.
Okay, yeah, thanks very much. Prince Afolabi, you're my big brother. Greetings to you. Well done. Very great session. I wanted to say, I agreed entirely with you when you talked about leadership as being key. And, I cite Cross River State, which is my home state, as an example, where our former governor, Donald Duke, set a vision. And amongst other things, part of that vision was to make Cross River State and Calabar in particular clean and green. And the people embraced the vision and actually became the policemen, as it were, for implementing that. So people would come, and if you threw things out of your car, they would stop you and tell you, hey, we don't do that here in Cross River. So I agree with you entirely. I think the question then for fixing Nigeria is how do we get the Donald Dukes in quote at state, federal, and local government level? And I'm not necessarily endorsing everything that Donald Duke did. I'm just simply giving him as an example of a visionary leader who's able to sell a vision, get the people to embrace the vision, and use that to transform a space. Thank you.
Thank you very much for keeping to time. Abraham, we've asked you to unmute. Please go ahead.
Thank you very much, ma'am. And my first question is, focusing to share some
Please speak up. You have 1 minute and 30 seconds.
Can
please
you hear
speak
me?
up. Yes, we can.
All right. I said the presenters is to share some sense of optimism that if you look at the average Nigerian youth today, it does not really understand why it should be so about Nigeria. So in this case, how do we get to sort of encourage, admonish the Nigerian youth of today that there is still hope in Nigeria? That is one. And the second one is this. I think it was Pastor Igedali who spoke about the idea of tribesmen and denominationism in the country today. Whether we like it or not, we can't roll away the fact that our diversity.
Can you please ask your question, sir? I'm so sorry because of time. Please go ahead with your question.
Yes, ma'am. So my question is, how do we manage our diversity in such manner that it works for the good of the country?
Thank you. Excellent question. Thank you so much. Professor Grange, please go ahead.
Thank you very much, Jumoke, and thank you, Prince. Thank you very much for all that you have said concerning the institutional deficiencies in our country. And I just want to try and see how we can highlight a particular area, and that is research and development. It seems that most institutions have been turned into service institutions. There's no, no particular desire to make sure that they are carrying out research and communicating the products of their research, which can make a big difference to the outside world, and particularly to industry, to medicine, even education. I think, really when you have this, you're about to have this community, no, what is it that you're having in Ibadan? You're about to have something that will bring everybody together. I believe really that research and development process should be one of those issues that is discussed. Thank you very much.
Thank you very
Indeed.
much, Ma. Can you take those three, and then I'll take the last three sets. Thank you, sir.
Okay, right. So it's good to have you here this afternoon. And thanks for the example you shared, Governor Donald Duke. And really and truly, not just about the cleanliness of Cross River. It was effectively the tourism location for Nigeria, Obudukatu Ranch, and the great things that he did. And it all stemmed out of vision. He had a vision. He sold his vision effectively, and the people bought on the vision. The people so bought on the vision that they became effectively his lieutenant in ensuring that that vision stays as a reality. So how are we able to replicate such a man? And it really then goes back again to the emphasis, or the point of emphasis I was making earlier on. We have a role to play. You see, because the question really then is that who is the person? Who is the person? We've done that for so long. So we allow anyone and everyone just to go out there. And that's why I admire what the Nigerian leadership body is doing in terms of trying to build potential leaders. But we've got to now move into effective fiscal structure where potentially such people that will represent us, whether it's at the local government level, whether it's at the state level or at the federal level, must go through a particular process. And that being said, it doesn't end there. Word then goes out in terms of communication to let it be known that, look, if you don't go through this kind of institution and don't have the certification for governance from this particular type of institution, then you're on your own if you're going to vote. The people that you are voting for cannot be vouched for, but not until they go through this process. And how can this happen in reality? It doesn't have to be government endorsed. It's a body like this that stands as an advocate body to ensure that we want to enshrine in values within our governance system. And that is what we're doing. We're launching an institute of sort. And you have at the board level or the advisory level, people with impeccable character, people of great integrity, people that have been tested, and they're there. They don't necessarily have to be the political names that we know all over the place. They could be professors at the university. It really doesn't matter. But I'm talking about people who have vested interest, real and genuine interest in seeing Nigeria become a veritable country. So you go through that institution, you'll be grilled, you'll have to be trained for proper governance. And with your certification, if you're going to vote, then you know, and the people know that this, if you're going to stand for elective office, the people will know that this is one person we can vote for because they've already gone through that disciplinary process. Question number 2. How can we encourage the youths that there's still hope in Nigeria? Truth be told, it's a tough one. It's a tough one. If I say to you that, we can, which I cited some examples earlier on, but in the real sense of the word, because it's all about mindset, they're already going through their own issues. And to start to let them know that, it becomes very difficult. What you want to show them is a pathway. They're not interested in your hype talk. They're not interested in my inspirational jeeps and stuff. No. If they want to hear motivational stuff, they can go on YouTube, and a lot of that is there. They want actionable processes. That's what they want. And that is why we must ensure that if we really want to bring about that form of motivation to inspire them, we got to deliver something. We've got to take something to them that they can relate with, not just about the talk. They've heard a lot of that. So please, let's bear that to mind. And I think the other question is, how do we manage our diversity that it will work for them? You see, personally, I really don't think it's so much about the fact that I'm Yoruba, he's Hausa. No. If Nigeria was working the way it ought to, that will not be an issue. We need to move our minds, I guess, beyond aspects relating to tribalism and ethnicity. And let's focus on what will bring about tangible value. And in us seeing that, then we become non-ethnic. We become truly a Nigerian who's looking to ensure that Nigeria's interest is number one. And if we start to educate them in that manner, to let them start to understand that you being a Nigerian means that you are someone who potentially can be recognized for what you do globally, not necessarily where you come from in part of the country you are in. Because the reality is that wherever Nigerians shine, nobody cares to know what part of the country they are from. They are applauded as a Nigerian. The same thing is applicable here. And I guess, with countries that have diverse ethnicity as well. And we must look at it from that particular, pathway. If we start to address the issue of ethnicity, I can guarantee you that it will start to literally fuel a whole lot of aspects that can be counterproductive. So it's important that I guess we take note of that. And Professor, you know that the city of Ibadan historically was the baseline for research and development. There's so many institutions out there that are today, literally a shadow of what they used to be. Mm-hmm. And this can also be an opportunity for an organization like Pastor Ito's, an organization like possibly what potentially could be something that you might even trigger off. And what's the objective is to start to see how we can revive a lot of those research institutes. Because the role that they played at the turn of or post-independence was pivotal for development, largely within the Western region environment. But we can take it beyond the Southwest. It can actually effectively be a location where Nigeria's research centers are developed. So we build from what had already been established. And funding can also be attracted even globally. But it will require someone who believes so much in it that can spearhead this vision and drive it. The rewards are tremendous, but it just takes that individual to step in and say that we can make this to be actionable. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So I'm going to apologize to those we have to take. You only have less than a minute to ask your question because we're really over time. So I believe this is Wasiu. Please go ahead and ask your question, Wasiu. Okay. Ask your question. Oh, we asked you to unmute. I'm sorry. I think I may have muted you again. Can you unmute now? Go ahead and unmute.
All right. Good evening, everyone. Thanks so much for giving me the opportunity. Because of time, yeah. The question is that how does a leadership group influence policy development in Africa? Because I noticed that all they were saying it's all about leadership, true vision, and some policies like that. So how does Africa leadership group development in Africa? So I would like to know that. Thank you so much.
Thank you for that quick question.
I didn't hear that question.
It said your question, Olatunde, was how does Africa Leadership Group influence policy in Africa?
Yes, that was his question, and I don't think it's for the speaker, Jumoke.
Okay, it's not for the speaker. So I'm going to ask, I believe Miss or Mr. Adebola, please go ahead with your question. We've asked you to unmute. 1 minute.
Okay. I've been listening to what he said. He has been talking about Nigeria is going to be 400 million. Number one, we don't even know our population. Population is very, very important. You cannot just base something on what you don't have. We have never had any credible census. And my other response is that I want us to listen to what Fela said. It was a song. It's called Everything Upside Down. When I hear people saying America is great again, he even said this himself. Nigeria used to be great in the 60s and the 70s. We don't even provide basics like water, like education. They were able to provide this stuff under Cocoa when Awolowo was there. So let us not sugarcoat anything. Let us face reality. That's what I have to say. I want us to listen to that song again. Everything upside down. And how did we
Your
get
time
the
is
400
up, sir.
million? Thank you.
Thank you. Arinze, please go ahead.
All right. Yeah. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for the wonderful section. My question is, because of what I've seen, the government, APC as a government, since they came in, they have been trying to mastermind what they call a state capture, and I've been in several groups trying to rescue Nigeria. But from what is going on, I tend to realize that after this 2027 election, their goal is to make sure that they disenfranchise electorates from having a formal election by the systems and institutions that are trying to create, as this school of different schools are being creating their own. For instance, they have a formal school of politics that if you are not part of now, there is no way you can ascend to power. And then they are trying to make the state, which is Nigeria, a one-party state. In other words, they're trying to make sure that Nigerians do not have a say in 2032, after this election they're going to have, that this one will be the last. How do we tackle this kind of stuff? Because they are creating systems and institutions to make sure that that happens. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So over to you, sir. There were mostly comments. If you want to, except this last one that was asking, how do we create institutions to make sure that, there isn't a state capture? That's what I got from that. So please go ahead, sir, if you can address those, and then maybe add your closing remark to those, and we start to bring this session to a close. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. So I believe that Mr. Wasiu Olatunde, how does leadership in Africa or African leaders influence policies in Africa? So the question really is that what are we talking about in terms of policy? So policy, because in your country, there are guiding policies for various aspects in terms of sector to sector. But that was not a very clear question, not particularly clear in terms of what he was really driving out. So you have organizations like ECOWAS, you have the Organization of African Union, and within those organizations, the interest really is skewed towards the specific country, but it's not primarily from the leadership in terms of governance. It's actually more diplomats that will address various aspects that can become binding to protect the interest of a particular the particular community, which we are talking about here in the context of OAU and ECOWAS. So I'm not clear particularly what he was driving at in that respect. So I really don't want to delve into a gray area. The second question, which is more like a statement, and I do agree, we haven't had credible census in Nigeria, I guess, for 40 years or so. But what happens is this: despite that, you're still able to carry out projections based on specific indices. And that is what the United Nations do. They don't necessarily have to come into your corridor to check your census. They can do projections on trajectories. The truth be told, the West in terms of population is ailing. On our part, we are unabated in terms of production. So if you are able to do an assessment from the data analyses based on specific factors, you can effectively do a projection. And that is what I believe that on the grounds of those indices, United Nations have been able to give a projection of what Nigeria's position will be in the next 20 plus years. And we mustn't give up, really. And that's been my emphasis on it. It's easy to, just throw everything up and say, look, that's what Fela sang, and that's the real story of what it is. But we've seen countries turn around. And I'm talking about countries that were involved in real strife, serious war, and they were still able to emerge out of it. So hope shouldn't be lost. I'm a very hopeful person. In fact, I'm stubbornly hopeful in that respect. And the last, I wasn't very clear on the last question. If you can help me, Lady Jumoke.
It was a comment also, and but if what I got from that comment was, how do we build institutions that can resist the current political climate? And I'm trying to be diplomatic in terms of this perceived state capture that APC is on.
So that is a delicate one, and it's one that I don't particularly want to delve in, because the reality is that on your part, and this is what this particular group is doing, and it's not a case of shying away from the facts and the realities. Let's all get involved one way or the other. We mustn't sit on the wall or the fence. If you see the need to advocate, if you see the need to call those situations out, you got to do what you got to do. If it's a real concern to you, and I guess it's a concern, if that be what it is, it will be a concern to many, then, let's try to understand exactly what the entire matrices.
Thank you. So do you have any parting words before we bring this to a close?
Well, it's been really and truly quite an amazing session, quite insightful and pretty profound. And once again, I thank you for this opportunity. In as much as I tried to escape it, but you put your foot.
We won't let you. And I'm glad we did not let you.
Put your foot on the ground, But I'd like to leave us with this thought. Nigeria's transformation will not happen by chance. It wouldn't happen by chance. It will happen by choice. We've got to be deliberate. We have to be intentional. And we have to be resolute. Each of us, the leaders, citizens, the private sector, those in the diaspora, everybody has a role to play. We all have a role to play. We must move beyond aspects that divide us, away from criticism, and focus more on contribution, beyond intention, to execute, and beyond hope, to deliberate action. Ladies and gentlemen, the real truth in all this, the future we desire for Nigeria is within our reach. That's the truth. But it will require courage. I cannot overemphasize that. It will require discipline. We can't get away from that. And commitment to doing things differently. We've got to change our mindset. We have to change our mindset. If we want that country that we so desire, we really cannot keep doing the same thing and expect to get a different result. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Let's get our leaders accountable to ensure that they do the right thing, to strengthen our institutions, and rebuild our value system. Nigeria will not only rise, but it will lead. And this is the time to build. The time is now. Thank you very much.
Thank you so very much, sir, for those very insightful comments, and really do appreciate your time here with us. And for everyone that has joined us again this evening, we meet here every Thursday at 5 p.m. different thought speakers, and you've heard our guest speaker today. And this is a call to action. It's a call to all of us to begin to rise and take ownership of this country, and not just rising to political power, but leading within your own sphere of influence. Pastor Sonny talked about his community and what they did, and that is a microcosm of our society. So we have to keep replicating that discipline across the board. But I want to just invite everyone to join us on what we are doing with the youth. You did say that the youths were 80%, the demographic is 80%, and Nigeria hasn't really been fair to them. So it is time for us to build them. It is time for us to really come behind them, support them, and nurture them to be the responsible, ethical, and accountable leaders we are looking for. I don't think we're going to get it from this crop of rulers that we have now. So game over for those. But we do have a future, and we have a hope, and it's in the next generation. So we invite you to come alongside us. We have this program. It's a flagship program that we're very proud of. It's the Youth Leadership Governance Development Program. And it's a 4-month program that we're taking youths through sessions on what it is to through civic responsibility, policy making, everything, for them to take their rightful place, whether it's in public office or even as good corporate citizens. So that's ongoing, and we are constantly looking for people to engage us. And then we also have the youth movement. A lot of our youths are here and they need a lot of support. We have sessions coming up where we want to educate them, give them information they need, and so, opportunities like Dr. Andu had just spoken about the one in Ibadan. So this is the time for us to raise our hand and begin to be the change we wish to see in our nation. So we invite you to please come alongside us, support in any way you can, support the youths, mentor them to be the leaders that we're looking for. Again, thank you again, everyone, for joining us this evening. The Zoom link remains the same. We use the same Zoom link every Thursday, but just a different speaker. So we hope to see you again next week, Thursday at 5 p.m. And on behalf of all of us, thank you. And Pastor Ito had to step away to a service, so he couldn't rejoin. Thank you so much. Have a good evening. And thank you, Mr. Andu, for joining us. Thank you for such very powerful session. I'm sure we'll listen to it again and again, and we'll probably have you back sometime. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right. So this is an invitation to our president's 65th birthday. There's a colloquium every year to mark his birthday. So that's coming up on the 9th. And we would have the future of Nigeria here also on the program. And we're going to be featuring our youths. So it will be a good time for you to really hear what they are doing and what they need and how they need that support. So Faye, please put the flyer in the chat room so that everyone can have it. Thank you all. And now for those of you that have never been to the after party, this is time for you to join. Once this ends, we have an informal conversation offline, and a lot of great ideas come from that. So you're welcome to join us right after this. Again, have a good evening. God bless you, and God bless Nigeria. Okay.